Hey everybody, this is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine, aka Vulcan Wolverine 2. Hope everybody's staying safe. Just staying safe. How are you doing in the apocalypse? I know there's a lot of heavy stuff going on. I don't know where everything's going on in our different countries. It's insane. It's just insane. But I did want to, and I'll probably make some videos about things that are going on in the country, like communist destruction of the United States of America and other countries, and people wearing masks of the coronaviruses and it's suffocating themselves. Tons of really bad stuff going on. Tons of horrible, like I walked out the other day and I was gang stalked and people wearing masks and everything like that. Cars were like driving by to gang stalk me and revving up their engines, and I was like, I'm in an asymmetrical war zone right now. It's like we are just in every country. There's just an asymmetrical war zone happening, um, and my targeting is pretty bad. Is pretty bad. I'm sure a lot of you guys you're getting tortured heavily. I'm talking to some targeted individuals out there, and we're just like, how do we make it till tomorrow? I'm kind of like at a place where I feel stuck. I feel like I'm going out of my mind, but I feel like I can make it till tomorrow. I just this has gone on for so long that I'll admit it to you guys. I'm a little bit black pilled right now on everything happening in the world. As a matter of fact, I didn't pull it up. I didn't pull it up, but I'm gonna probably do a live stream later this week. And Computing Forever, Computing Forever. He's been going over a lot of the coronavirus stuff. He just interviewed, and I can't remember her name. Gosh, I can't remember her name, but the white-haired lady from the UN who talks about UN Agenda 2021, UN Agenda 2030, UN Agenda 2040, because it's gonna like keep going. And it made me everything that's been going on has made me like it's made me very very black pilled right now. Right now, don't know where things are going to go in the world, but there is some hope. There is some hope in the UN investigation. The UN has already declared what targeted individuals are saying in February and before that. So I wanted to give you guys, read these articles and give you guys these links. Yeah, things suck out there. Just things are really sucking. Feel really stuck. I feel like the stuff that's rolling out, the lockdown and the riots and the destruction. It's like gonna put more people. More people are gonna go. Oh, well, I gotta take care of my family. I'll go ahead and work as a contact tracer. I'll go ahead and work on a terrorism task force or something like that, or DHS Fusion Center with microwave weapons, and then they're hooking in more people, people that are in the riots destroying things. They're locking onto their biofrequencies and brains and tracking them, facial recognition, and what people aren't getting to, right? What people aren't getting to is tracking biofrequencies, frequencies of the body and the brain. Um, so it seems like surveillance is a big concern of everybody, even in the Computing Forever. Computing. I'm going to do a live stream where we watch that interview. We kind of talk about where we fit into all this, right? All this apocalypse, the apocalypse. But she talks about surveillance and using the eyes to track and surveil and all these different things. People just don't go to what's actually happening. People's brains are being surveilled. People's thoughts are being surveilled. A lot of people directly. And mind control, remote neural manipulation is being used on tons of people directly and then indirectly over broadband frequencies. Some of these riots, a lot of these people could have been brought into a frenzy by either direct mind control or broadband frequencies. There's so much asymmetrical warfare, economic warfare, informational warfare, physical war. There's like literal war in the streets of New York, right? because of BLM activity and Antifa activity, which the leaders of BLM are open Marxists, and there's Zionist globalist control of some of the leadership and Marxist ideology all through that. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been looking up stuff like that. So a lot of asymmetrical warfare going on out there. I'm a little bit black-pilled right now on just the situation. I'm like, how priority, how can we stop being tortured and mind controlled so we can just try and survive with everybody else and all the horribleness? That's like the number one thing. Anyway, let's go through some of this information, guys, and I'm going to put this in the description. I just hope everybody's kind of just staying safe, staying as hopeful as you can. I think a lot of people, a lot of people are speaking out, trying to just tell the truth, trying to just weather the storm. Everybody needs to vote for Trump. I'm just going to go ahead and say it on my video. You better vote for Trump during the election, because if you don't, it's going to get a lot worse. Everybody, Democrats, Republicans, everybody, vote for Trump. Some bad things about Trump's ties to Israel, but he's doing some things where I'm like, he's actually, seems like he's doing so. It seems like the New World Order's lost control of him somewhat. Not quite sure. But let's go through this article, guys. Lots of bad stuff happening out there, and I think we're all going through hell with our torture. But I wanted to read some more because the UN has already declared what's happening to targeted individuals. Niels Melzer is starting that investigation. We've got a bigger UN meeting in September, which I'm not sure if they're going to talk in detail about cyber torture. Is that what they're calling it? Yeah, cyber torture. And targeted individuals and all the technologies, pinpoint, who's doing it and stuff like that. But definitely in October, I know they will be talking about it in detail. Hopefully in September too, the bigger UN meeting with all the countries. Hopefully it will be a topic. I'm gonna be sending. I haven't sent my mom the stuff on the UN yet, and we've all known about it for a while. I'm gonna send her some stuff. So I wanted to read through these articles and put them in the description so you guys could send them to your family, friends. We can bring it to our doctors and things like that, and try and build. There are a lot of things that I'm working on, or a lot of things that I'm hearing from other targeted individuals that I'm gonna work on. There's a lot of stuff going down that seems hopeful for getting more evidence and proving that this is happening to us. And all the UN stuff, so it seems pretty hopeful. Like, so much stuff is happening for targeted individuals. It seems hopeful for this stuff coming out. I can only dream. We can only dream, right? While our countries are destroyed completely, and the coronavirus goes on, that little pandemic. I'll be making some more videos about that. Things are bad though. It's really hard. I hope you guys are I hope you're doing well. Just getting with God, just pray, try and be at peace. It's hard, like, with the remote neural manipulation, and then everything that I'm seeing every day is so negative. It's so tough, but I hope you guys are doing all right. Okay, so this is from mindcontrol.se. UN starts investigating to ban cyber torture. So this is posted March 12th by Magnus Olsen. I think that's just his internet Magnus contact. So let's read. Magnus Olsen, Geneva 8, March 2020. March 8, 2020. UN Human Rights Council, the Human Rights Council, UN Human, it says that right there. Doing really bad, guys. Doing really bad. I'm making it, but yeah, my brain's not doing too well. UN Human Rights Council Special Rapporteur on Torture revealed during the 43rd HRC that cyber technology is not only used for internet and 5G, it is also used to target individuals remotely through intimidation, harassment, and public shaming. So through surveillance, manipulation of the brain, external hits to the body, and then gang stalking, with surveillance tied into all of that activity. On 28th of, and also computer, oh, let me show you this, guys. Check this out. This is my Wi-Fi right here. I'm going to open up the networks. I wonder if it's gone. No, look at this one. FBI. I see this all the time, but I thought I'd just show you guys. FBI-6E70B5. So, looks like I got like somebody in the FBI in my actual building who's on the network. Probably hacking into my computer. Okay, so on the 28th of February in Geneva, Professor Niels Melzer, UN Special Rapporteur on Torture and Other Cruel, Inhumane, Degrading Treatment and Punishment, has officially confirmed that cyber torture exists. And officially confirmed. This guy, Niels Melzer, who works for the UN has officially confirmed that this exists, right? Now the only thing that needs to is more details need to be talked about, and then investigations need to go down in every country. So it's a huge thing, and I think that maybe we'd be picking up a little bit more from this had not the apocalypse come down with the coronavirus pandemic, and then the riots, the ripping down of our countries and everything like that, especially America. So has officially confirmed that cyber torture exists, and investigation is now underway on how to tackle it legally. So for anybody that's coming to my channel and you're like, TIs are crazy, the UN has confirmed what TIs have been saying for years. I'm going to do some sign language here. Has confirmed it. And it's going to talk about it more probably in September and October. I know definitely in October. I'm not sure about the general session in September, but we're going to see. We're going to hope and see. I'm going to read. I think we can probably find some information on exactly what they're going to talk about in September, so that we can see if this is going to be on the agenda for them. Okay, so electromagnetic radiation, radar, and surveillance technology are used to transfer sounds and thoughts into people's brains. UN started their investigation after receiving thousands of testimonies from so-called targeted individuals. Professor Niels Melzer is an expert in the international law, and since 2016, he holds the Human Rights Chair at the Geneva Academy of International Humanitarian Law and Human Rights. His team has found evidence that cyber technology is used to inflict severe mental and physical sufferings. Judges think that physical torture is more serious than cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. He told The Guardian on 21st of February. That's my birthday. Torture is simply the deliberate instrumentalization of pain and suffering. These psychological torture methods are often used to circumvent the ban on torture because they don't leave any visible marks. And for some target individuals, in the beginning of mine, my skin would get really my skin would get really red and overheated. It wouldn't exactly burn, but for a lot of targeted individuals, the external microwave hits actually do burn their skin, cause severe burns. But a lot of, especially for me, and I think a lot of other TIs, a lot of the damage, it's like you're heating up and it feels like severe pain with the external hits, but then it's like also the manipulation of the nervous system, manipulation of the brain that you can't see. And I, with the DTI, the MRI DTI, I think that is damage. There is damage to the brain that you can see, and that's why I want to get those over time. But I think you have to, like, if it's just a regular neurologist that doesn't really know about like white matter tracks or what to look for, it's not going to look like there's any. It's just going to be like, oh, okay, well that's what how your brain's supposed to be. But I think there are specific neurologists that can track changes to the brain, like the Cuban embassy attacks. So I'm going to be working a lot more on that. Even though I have no energy left whatsoever, and I'm praying to God, I'm praying to you right now, in the name of Jesus Christ, God, just give me more energy. Give all targeted individuals more energy. Please stop the Armageddon. Please put everything back to normal. Could you just blow up the top of the pyramid and get us back to normal and not torture? please. Please, whatever your will, but please let your will be correcting some of this, making our lives easier, at least stopping the torture for us. Okay, so judges, and I forgot what I was saying before the prayer. Judges think that physical torture is more serious than cruel, and I read this already. Okay. Cyber psychological systems like cognitive radio are used to interrupt human perceptions and memory. Cyber psychological systems like cognitive radio are used to interrupt human perceptions and memory. And I guess that's what I would call remote neural manipulation. They can also be used to spy on people, violating personal integrity, which could lead to corruption and slavery in society. Cyber torture is also called no-touch torture or brain-machine interface. And I do feel like it's worse than slavery, like, because you're just being attacked, you're being isolated, and I'm just thinking, like, for a while, for many years, I was like, okay, well, it's okay, I can get on Social Security and I can buy time, but now I'm at a point where, like, the whole world's going crazy, my family's doing bad, my dad, my grandma are getting older, and I'm like, I gotta get going here, I gotta, make money and have a life, and so it's getting more and more urgent. Plus, like, intersecting with the remote neural manipulation getting worse and worse, right? Hope, like, I'm doing some things to try and make it better, eating more healthy, taking supplements and things like that. I'm going to find some further things. Like, I really am going to search out, some there's got to be some better defenses. And I'm also going to try the copper fabric, because I have this, but it's really expensive. So I'm really going to try the copper fabric around here to guard the vestibular system, the cranial nerves, the neck, and everything like that. And I'm going to see if that helps a little bit. I'm going to be looking for a bunch of stuff that can help us defend better. So, okay, brain-machine interface. One way to handle this situation is to regulate new technologies and use AI control mechanisms by independent and impartial investigators. The evidence gathered could then be used to convict criminals easier and quicker in the future. So, and I think he talks about, like a frequency police, like a frequency ban police. And what I'm looking into now, and I'll make a video that soon, is like getting some phone apps to check and see. I think we're going to be able to see who's hacking into our computer, maybe with the IP address or what system. I got to look into it more, but I know you can you can read a frequency and see what networks are in your area and figure things out, because I think wireless, our modems, routers, and everything, and like wireless around us and cell phone towers are a big part of it. Although I don't think it's the only thing. I do think it's a huge layer of surveilling us, because they put like this, basically fields of Wi-Fi. Fields of Wi-Fi around you, so then they can 3D image you with like radar. And I think that's only one. I think that's only one protocol of how they can, surveil us. But I think it's a huge part of it. But I'm gonna be showing that on another video. Professor Meltzer and his team is now underway to create an international legal framework covering cyber technologies that can cause torture, which previously was hard to prove. In the future, it may be necessary to establish radio frequency spectrum police in order to protect humanity from cyber terrorism. Niels Meltzer also revealed to me personally that the HRC will release several reports on the subject soon in the future. So, and I'll put this link into Owen Bocott, UN warns of rise of cyber torture to bypass fiscal ban. It's from The Guardian. Let's see if there's anything else on this article. Let's go to this second article right here. So this is from the Legal Coop. This is from the lawyer Schumann, his website. So breakthrough misuse technology. psychology and harassment meld into no-touch torture, aka cyber torture, featuring a groundbreaking report by Niels Melzer, United Nations expert on torture. So the United Nations has one courageous torture expert who is on the trail of several weaknesses in our global law enforcement system. As we've been exposing here at the Legal Coup, these legal and investigative loopholes allow systematic harassment of our citizens. Systematic harassment, torture, murder of citizens. Brain hobbling, brain injury, mind control, mind manipulation, nervous system manipulation. Such harassment inflicts loss of livelihood, loss of social circle, and loss of well-being on good people, all to satisfy revenge, profit, and even for entertainment of voyeuristic clients. Now, that's not what I think. I mean, I think that it's experimentation and training and research and development. They may have said something like that. That's what I kind of get worried about. I kind of get worried about the way that they're going to talk, that Niels Melzer has already talked about it and will talk about it. There's some very specific things which confirm what we are saying, but I think where it's going to get kind of muddy is exactly who's doing it. Are they going to give the military-industrial complex a pass, and they're going to say, oh, it was some rogue agents, or it's just revenge corporations or something like that, when we know it's severely organized. Severely organized? It's intensely organized. Intensely organized, government sponsored. I think they do use the word government sponsor in here though once. Okay, according to a recent report by Mr. Niels Melzer, and as discussed at a 2/28/20 proceeding at the United Nations, the practice can misuse medical implants, neurotechnological devices, weaponized psychology, and mobbing, which we call gang stalking, which we're seeing, right? You're seeing mobbing, you're seeing gang stalking going mainstream in a big way, because that's what Marxists do. That's what, like, socialists, communists, and then technocracies, right? It's a meld, right? Because on social media, big tech corporations and things like that can point the finger and call somebody a racist and destroy their life. So it's a type of gang stalking. Now what's happening is that to accuse somebody of being racist, if they weren't, right? If they weren't, it's weaponized, right? And that's a form of gangs. People are being gang stalked. Policemen are being gang stalked now, because of the slogan, defund the police, abolish the police. Police are getting tampons in their coffee at Starbucks. People are attacking police. There's just, everybody's getting attacked, right? There's like people are dying on the streets everywhere, but police are actually being gang stalked now, treated severely bad, because people hate the police now, or BLM and Antifa hate the police, and some people who sign up. I'm definitely going to do a video on what the leaders of BLM believe and what they've said, and then I'm also going to do like what kind of companies fund them and everything like that. And I just, Black lives do matter, right? Black lives do matter, and every single life on the earth matters, unless you're evil, and then you need to go because so many people are suffering from your deceit and your lies and stuff like that. But I'm talking about the organization. The organization, I'm looking at what's happening, right? And I get this sense of our gang stalkers, right? I have a lot of gang stalkers. They think they're protecting their community. They think they're doing something good, but they're making everything worse in their community. And getting that same kind of information, and what's happening is a lot of people who actually believe they're doing good and everything like that, and it's creating unity, and it's this great revolution in Antifa and activists for BLM. They're actually causing a lot of damage, right? So the Marxist leadership of BLM and the Zionist Zio-globalists, I guess you can just say Zio-globalists, they're using black people and white people. They're using them to cause destruction and chaos in society for political reasons, you know. And it really gives me that feeling. A lot of people who are activists for BLM and activists in Antifa, you know, they want a revolution to really create unity and do those things, but they're being used just like a lot of the gang stalkers in my community. They're older people. They just want to keep their community safe, but they don't understand who they're doing it for, right? They don't understand what they're doing it for. So a lot of people are being used right now in the world to think that they're doing one thing, think that they're accomplishing something good, but it's actually for political control or military control, or economic control, or complete political change, right? And not just political change, but cultural change in a way that's not going to be good for anybody who lives in countries where it's happening. You know, it's not going to be good at all. Okay, so I'll talk about those things more in depth. I feel like those, you know, I want to talk about what's happening in the world. I do want to be sensitive, though. I do want to be sensitive because, like, there are many black and white and all different color targeted individuals. So I want to make sure when I'm talking about those things, like I mentioned that I am going to talk about them, that I have the evidence to show this stuff, and that I'm careful how I talk about these things, because there are different perceptions in society by a lot of different good people. And so all the good people have to really discuss what's really happening here. What's really happening here? All the people who really want unity and really want peace and really want our society to be good and for good things to happen and to defeat evil, which is the top of the pyramid, and then organizations down with a ton of money, because they seem to be the only people that can affect change, is huge organizations with a lot of money. But you know, I want to be sensitive, because I know they're different, and I want to make sure that I'm showing that evidence, that straight up evidence. And I think that we can all see how all this activity, the wars in the streets, more, you know, cops leave certain areas, there's more crime, there's more killings and everything like that. And everything is more racial now. It's not creating this thing where everybody's more equal. Now things are way more racial, and the finger pointing and the hoaxes, you know, they're used to destroy people, to gang stalk them as political power, and to have a. And when I say cultural change, I don't mean like, oh, things are becoming more balanced. I mean like changing, destroying society so that capitalism won't work anymore, and then everything becomes like Marxist and stuff like that. That kind of destruction of history, like destruction of history so that we can start at ground zero, right? And that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. That's what the top of the pyramid really wants, to wipe out a whole lot of people and then start history from zero. But I'll talk about that on some other videos. I basically just wanted to give you all these useful articles. Some of you guys may have seen these already, but I want to kind of just pump out. The UN has already declared. They've already declared what targeted individuals are saying is true. Now, they haven't, you know, gotten to all the details of exactly who's doing it, but they're like, it's, you know, government sponsored, corporations are involved. You know, I don't know if they've said, you know, intelligence agencies. I'm pretty sure they have, but I think that's going to be a lot of the information in the October session. Hopefully the September and the October session. So I just want to show y'all, it's very weird. It's really weird how things are going, and everything on the surface, and the pandemic, and you know, the cultural, it's not a physical war that's going on in our streets, and riots and stuff like that, and destroying people's lives and everything like that. It's very interesting how it seems like we're getting somewhere, you know, with this target. It seems like a lot more very intelligent methods of collecting evidence are coming out. the UN has declared it is happening, and it's going to start investigations and stuff like that. And I almost wonder, with everything that's going on in the world, and how, everybody's kind of sensing and seeing that the numbers are going to be really puffed up, and there's going to be a second wave, right? And then everybody's going to have to go on lockdown again. Now, I'll show you guys, they talk about it really intelligently in that Computing Forever, that video where he's talking, and I forgot her name, and I really need to remember her name for next time. But they talk about the conditioning of that, like when you bring out the pandemic, and then they talk about a lockdown, and it slowly happens, and people go on lockdown, and they're slowly reopening. And then when the second wave comes along, everybody's been conditioned to all that weird stuff, right? All the weird stuff, and the masks, which are suffocating people completely. All that stuff is conditioned so that the next time they need a lot, okay, you can go out, everybody can go back to living their lives. While there's all the riots and everything like that, and the mob mentality, right? By just the left, the mob mentality. But then they can go, no, lockdown again. Everybody's already been kind of conditioned to, okay, yeah, we had to do that before. And so it's going to go a lot faster that time. They talk about that. I hope that doesn't happen, but I think that we're all seeing that, we're seeing that the New World Order is rolling along. We're seeing that these things are taking place, and it's like, no chance for it to go back to normal. No chance for it to go back to normal. I really hope that we can stop being tortured so that we can, think, easier for us to think right then. It's hard for me to even think how to say that. But so we can think better, we can have more energy to try and survive, just like everybody else who's not targeted with directed energy weapons directly. They get to plan and stock up food and talk with their families and work with their communities and everything like that. And I couldn't work with my community. Like, I couldn't talk to my community about what's going on because I'm a complete, I'm the gang stalking victim. I'm the guy. My attackers just wiped my brain. But I'm the scapegoat for everything, right? I'm the guy that when things go bad, when the world's looking bad and people are scared about the coronavirus and they're scared about Marxist activity and all the craziness going on in America, that they're like, oh, he's bad, I can go gang stalk him, and I'm taking care of my community. So I couldn't talk to my community about, like, hey, what are we going to do locally? There's some crazy stuff going on locally. And that's another thing that I really wish I could remember her name. But that's another thing she talks about, is people are going to have to start talking at a local and community level about stopping some of this. I'm very black-pilled right now. Not black-pilled spiritually, black-pilled about what's going to happen in the world. I see that they're just, by the numbers, so many different angles of asymmetrical warfare, and I'm kind of just like, we've all got to speak out. We've all got to speak the truth. It makes it hard. It makes it hard when Black lives do matter, and most white people are very decent. Like, most black people and white people are very decent. They want to do the right thing, right? And that's how a false flag works. When an organization is really doing bad things, people don't, they don't want to speak up because the idea is right. Black lives do matter. That idea is just completely shouldn't have to be said. Right? But that's how these subversive things happen. They're tacked on to something that's very, very sensitive, and they're using that sensitive racism to destroy lives as a weapon. So it's not good. It's not unity. It's not blacks and whites leveling the playing field or anything like that at all. It's a tactic. It's a Marxist tactic. So such harassment inflicts loss of livelihood, loss of social circle, and loss of well-being on good people. all to satisfy revenge, profit, and even for entertainment of voyeuristic clients. According to a recent report by Niels Meltzer, and as discussed at a 2/28/20 proceeding at the United Nations, the practice can misuse medical implants. Yeah, I already read this stuff. All to achieve the utter destruction of any one individual. We cite from Mr. Meltzer's report below to aid and support people who are going through these challenges. How is it done? Well, for one thing, the expert finds these practices are not limited to rogue states, but are rather easily wielded by corporate actors and organized criminals. And the criminals are very organized because it's the military-industrial complex. So it's people who are supposed to catch the organized criminals, the intelligence agencies, contracting this stuff out, contracting the manufacturing of the weapons, contracting out the experimentation. So it's very, very well organized criminals because they're the people that are supposed to be keeping people safe. And it's government sponsored. That means it can be done for revenge, profit, or sadist entertainment. I would add a lot of stuff to that. These practices cause financial ruin and isolation by intimidation, harassment, surveillance, public shaming, and defamation, as well as appropriation, deletion, or manipulation of information. The resulting powerlessness and silence are easily enforced by the use of mobbing, cyberbullying, and state-sponsored persecution, depriving victims of any possibility to effectively resist or escape their abuse. Does that sound familiar, though? Does that sound familiar about? And I'll be showing some articles and things. I'm not sure when, but I'll do something this weekend. I'll do something soon. I'll be making some videos probably. Did y'all see how I did that? I'll be making some probably. We see that in a lot of the things, and a lot of the people who are being canceled, and some people who are working for companies are being canceled, mobbing, cyberbullying, state-sponsored persecution, but it's really a political party and really an organization with so much funding. It's a global organization. Question something that's a global organization where the people leading it have Marxist values, and then look up Marxism. We're going to read about Marxism on some later videos. You guys are probably looking this stuff up, but just know that this is destroying our country. What's happening? And it's meant to destroy our country. It's meant to destroy our country. And it's not meant to bring people together. It's not meant to bring people together, and it's not meant to help either race of people, or any race. I'd say any race of people. It's not meant for that. People who are being used, because when you're trying to build a Marxist society, you don't care about people. You use them as weapons, and then when it's over, the people who really believed in those things, gone, because they know the people who, the leadership, know that they really believe in those things, those good things, and when they come to power, those people go. We'll read more stuff on that. It's just really in my mind, right? Lots of bad things, and with asymmetrical warfare, and like you just think about how sensitive things are attached, and things that people want to be decent about are attached to things that are really weapons of destruction, like the organization BLM, like Antifa. Some beliefs that people were like, yes, I definitely believe that. Yeah, that's Black Lives Matter. Most definitely, you shouldn't even have to say it. You're a human being. Yeah, you matter. Everybody knows that. You know what I'm saying? But like how people want to be decent, and they're like, okay, well, yeah, the concept matters. The concept is correct. But the organization has people who are funding it that want to destroy this country. Want to change it, want to destroy capitalism, destroy our form of government and everything like that. So, and many other things, and many other bad things that are going on, while the whole coronavirus thing flares up. And we know that, like, I can take take my targeting, right, or take your targeting, please. But take our targeting. They start off, like my attackers started, well, I was kind of targeted before I even knew, but let's just talk about when I knew in 2011. Start off with a high-pitched sound and a headache. Then 2 months later, they added in voice skull. So I'm like, okay, I can track these things, and I was being gang stalked. But even before that, but I noticed I was gang stalked in the high-pitched sound. But then basically as time goes on, they're doing so many different things to your brain. They're introducing new things, right? Wave after wave of confusion and more things, so it's harder to keep track, harder to know exactly how to fix something or make something better, right? And that's what we're seeing globally. We're seeing all these asymmetrical warfare agendas play out to get people so off balance, that they're all talking about different things, and it's hard to come up with a logical conclusion to save their families' lives, to make sure their families are safe, to have a safe life. It becomes almost like, it's like, oh, it's one thing, oh, coronavirus, oh, we got this, no, we got riots in the street, now we got, I gotta be careful, when we talk to the people on the left. It's good, and I think they're going to continue. That's why I think a lot of people are saying that there's probably going to be some kind of power outage, and there have been a couple in certain areas. And they hit us with that, man. Hit us with that. Get rid of and I'm not saying get rid of the police, even as a targeted individual. No, that's not a good idea. That's it, because if you do, crime in any of those areas increases like so much, and then people just start killing each other. So no. Make sure police are trained right and everything like that. Make sure police they're gang stalkers, but I forgot my point on that one. What was my point? I think that the globalists want to get rid of the police. They want things to get violent, not just to kill people off, but then so they can have a greater excuse to use these technologies to use more community policing. And if you watch Computing Forever, with the interview with that beautiful woman, I'm saying that because I can't remember her name. I feel like that's insulting to her. I'm sure she doesn't watch my videos, but like that's a huge excuse when things go terribly wrong, right? To be like, we need more funding. We need more funding to these intelligence agencies that are doing this remote neural monitoring, remote neural manipulation. We need more funding to DHS fusion centers. We need more funding to InfraGard. We're going to need to set up way more community policing things and actually make the citizens, more surveillance, like they are with gang stalking. How people are, watching, tracking your movements and stuff like that, informing and stuff like that. They want to do that everywhere. They want to do it more, right? And another dangerous thing is as the, are we going back? Are we going back to work? Is it going to last? If we go to another lockdown, and already you have people going into the arms of the military-industrial complex and these federal agencies like DHS Fusion Center saying, I need work. Well, sure, I'll watch my neighbor. Or, yes, set me up with one of these community policing organizations because I don't have a job. So that's one of the angles of, destroying the economy and making everybody unemployed. Messing with people's livelihoods so that the jobs that are pretty sturdy, because the people who microwave me and the people that gang stalk me haven't skipped a beat with the CV virus stuff or anything else. Haven't skipped a beat. I think that if America burnt to the ground, like everything, the power went off, I think that these microwave attackers would still be going. I don't think they're on the same grid as like all the regular buildings and stuff in the city. I think they make sure. I was trying to think. I was like, the power goes off here sometimes, and I still get targeted, and it's still pretty bad. But it wouldn't have anything to do with the grid that I'm on. I think they are in the city though. So mobbing, cyberbullying, state-sponsored persecution, depriving victims of any possibility to effectively resist or escape their abuse. We're seeing all kinds of that. We're seeing all kinds, and I've said this before, we're seeing things, the beta testing, targeted individuals, what we're going through, what they can get people to do to us in our communities, what they can get people to do to us with these weapons, what they can get people to do to us to destroy our lives, how we react to it, everything like that, bringing out all these different things in society. So they've studied humans for a long time. They've studied how people's brains work. And then these things are set up, these artificial crises. And these aren't just things that just happen. Like, none of these things just happen. I think some of the events, like I think George Floyd, I think that cop was a real bad guy, and he needed to take his knee off of that. It was a very tragic thing. I actually do think that happened, but they used it. They jumped on it, and they used that, right? So I actually do think that happened. I think it was just, they're like, okay, well, that's a good thing that we can use, right? So that's kind of what I think. I think some people disagree with me. They think that all that was kind of a setup, but I actually do think that was a real incident. Derek Chauvin in prison. He's in prison. He's gonna get, he's gonna get the full law thrown at him. So, because he's a bad guy. He shouldn't have done that. Finally, the misuse of high-tech devices allows severe mental suffering to be remotely inflicted. Manipulation of stun belts, A/72/178, paragraph 51, medical implants, and conceivably nano or neurotechnological devices. The practices are not complicated, rely on various human weaknesses, and clearly thrive in authoritarian times. And if things become more and more authoritarian, they're doing it under the surface before the pandemic started, right? In a time where it's after 9/11, so you got the Patriot Act, you got all these other persecutions going on in many different countries, so it was already an authoritarian time. But if there's enough chaos, if certain groups make enough chaos, like Antifa, like BLM, even the CV virus is creating chaos, is creating mass chaos. So with more of this chaos, there's more of an excuse to use these technologies, right? And we're seeing that. We're seeing a rollout, but they're just not saying remote neural monitoring. They're not saying those ones that go just a little bit too far, and people kind of just like facial recognition, drones. Me and another target individual were talking about not active denial, but there were certain sonic weapons used in some of the protests against protesters and against rioters, right? And then you heard that guy, the guy in Chaz, the place in Seattle, the warlord's name. I don't think he was really warlord of the place, but his name was I can't remember his name, but he was talking to somebody. I may show that on a video. That's kind of interesting. And he was saying that when they got to the police station in Seattle, they had sonic weapons used on them, and it hit their heads, and their ears started ringing. So they've been using these, but it hasn't been coming out on the mainstream media. Not a lot of people who are at the protests. Probably the news has not talked to, maybe it's talked to some of the rioters. But not a lot of people have talked about it. It's kind of been whitewashed out. But a lot of this new technology has been used in the protests and the riots. I forgot my point on that. The practices are not complicated, rely on various human weaknesses, and clearly thrive in authoritarian times. Yeah, okay, that was my point. Like in authoritarian times, with a lot of they have excuses, like we need to roll out this weaponry to use on protesters. We need to, we're gonna those people, right? Maybe that's the reason police were letting people do that. Because think about this from a perspective of a targeted individual. Maybe the police let these people riot because they wanted destruction, they wanted the chaos. But one of the angles could have been that people using this weaponry, tracking, surveilling, biometric readings and stuff, were like, yeah, just let them do it, let them go. We're gonna practice with this technology of if somebody does like an act like that, we want to track them all the way to where they live, pick them up later, see what we can find, see where they're going and everything like that. I guarantee you, in places like Chaz or Chop in Seattle, if some of you don't know about that, maybe I'll talk. That's ending now. I don't know. That may get very violent. It's already gotten violent. A lot of people have been shot there, and a lot of other way worse stuff has happened. But they're gonna I think ending that soon. They're gonna send back in the police and everything like that. But I was thinking about it and I was like, they're definitely, and they probably had agents in there. They probably had people who work for like FBI or I don't know about but FBI, CIA, and stuff like that actually in there, informants and things like that. But you think about it and you think they have this kind of I don't know what kind of an anarchy zone or autonomous zone or whatever, kind of communist, kind of a lot of different things. They were probably experimenting on a lot of those people. A lot of those people, because it's Seattle, right? They were probably already targeted directly. But Seattle, from Brian Coffrin's testimony, has a lot. They use microwave towers to do this broadband mind control. So I mean, were they practicing surveillance? Were they practicing seeing surveilling people in there without the police? I guarantee you, throughout all of the craziness, the coronavirus craziness, and everything else that happened after the death of George Floyd, you've had people using this technology and then making excuses to use it more in the future and not really caring about the police. Not really caring about like the police leaving an area and people getting hurt or not being able to get help. Not caring about that because it's an excuse. All the chaos and everything is an excuse to like say we need more reforms. We need more citizens policing each other. We need more DHS Fusion Center needs to get more funding. InfraGard definitely needs to get more funding, and like all these training, research, and development programs on people because we've got this whole new. Can I say the word? I guess I say a lot of words that I can't, but the T word, terrorism. You know what I'm saying? They're Antifa. They're thinking about labeling them as a terror organization with those excuses. We need to beef up all these weapons programs. We need to beef up all these weapon programs, and we need to hook into more people. It's a dangerous time. We need to learn about more people's brains, and it keeps everything going in this horrible trajectory, right? It's a build up. It's just so bad. It's just so bad. Like I don't do it justice with how I'm saying it, but I think the important thing that people leave out, right? Because everybody's looking at everything that's happening on the surface and what it could do and how it could change our society and how so many people are being killed, so many people are being hurt. A lot of people are like, yeah, the coronavirus is not what the mainstream media is saying, but you've got to factor in that there is a whole industry of experimenting on people, surveilling people, and their brain. Like, and I know I'm preaching to the choir. Most people who watch my videos, y'all know about this stuff. But what people need to know that target individuals know is that with all this craziness, if chaos is created, it's going to be used as an excuse for more federal and global control. More federal and global control, and more funding. More black budget. Everything's more dangerous now. We've got a new problem, right? We've got a big new problem in the CV, and we got a big new problem. We've got war in the streets in a lot of places, people getting killed. I think that the globalist interests, and let's say those under the Pentagon and DARPA, really want to throw police under the bus. They want police to get gang stalked. They want them to go out of certain areas. They want that chaos and violence so that then they can say, oh, look, they step in and they're the heroes, right? And more people are hooked up to these weapon systems. So it goes further along into just making a neuro society, right? We're seeing it roll into that. Now I'm hoping the UN, there's some kind of planned reveal of this stuff because I don't trust the UN that much, or there's like really, like Niels Melzer and some other people in the UN are not on the take, right? And they're not into Agenda 21 and something real happens. But they've already declared it. right? They've already declared it. So we all need to speak about that, like how the UN has declared that what I'm saying is happening to you, that remote neural manipulation, external microwave hits, that is happening. It's happening all over the world. They have declared it. So everything that targeted individuals have been saying so long that people are like, well, that's mental illness. Well, how did we guess of something that the UN is saying concretely is happening? Were we just that, just that imaginative, right? All these things that are coming out in society, right? And I said this on another video. We were just that. Our mental illness can tell the future, right? Doesn't make sense. This is happening, right? It's coming out. Got to stay hopeful, even though, I'm completely like, I don't know what's going to happen in the world. And sometimes I'm just like, they're going to get their neuro society and all these things. Like people, a lot of people are awake, but I think the people that are awake and seeing how corrupted and crazy everything is and purposeful everything is, they're like, what do I do? Right? Because we as targeted individuals, we're being hit with mind control, with remote neural monitoring, remote neural manipulation. We know these technologies exist. We know that police are involved in gang stalking. We know, we know that the surveillance is going on of so many people, but it's like we haven't been able to change it because it's these powers that are in the shadows. They stay in the shadows and they have so much money, to buy people off, and they have so much control of other people, of other, the media, politicians and everything like that in society. They hide so much of the knowledge too that people kind of know that it's going on, but it's like, oh well, I can kind of just not say it and just kind of stay away from that topic. Okay, so the practices are not complicated, rely on various human weaknesses. I don't know if I read this before, guys, I can't remember. And clearly thrive in authority. Yes, I did. His presentation sternly warns of mobbing, threats, intimidation, and inducing phobias or inducing anxiety, all of which render people unable to work and frightens them away from help. The result is that I read all that. I don't remember. I only remembered it when I read it back. But that, like, inducing phobias, inducing anxiety, this remote neural manipulation has made me feel certain ways that if this technology was not used on me, I would have never felt those ways in my life. Like certain I don't know, certain ways of like, I guess I don't want to get into all that, but certain types of hopelessness that that would have never happened to me. Like I would have lived my whole life thinking, and I do think that anything can be done, but I would have never had negative thoughts intrude where I'm like, boy, the kind of the scope of all this makes me super depressed. But I don't even think that would have mattered if my brain wasn't being messed with. So but things that you would have never felt in your life, negative things you would have never felt in your life, had it not been for this technology manipulating, changing in some ways the brain. Like what I think and what's a great hope is that when the consistent remote neural manipulation, the AI keeping certain lines of remote neural manipulation going, when it does stop, let's just think positive. Let's think positively. When it does stop, my brain would be different. It would be hurt, but a lot like how it feels so bad right now, that would change a lot. I'd go back more to myself. So that's a really big hope. So the report ends with the following paragraph. Challenges of the new technologies in order to ensure the adequate implementation of the prohibition of torture and related international legal obligations in present and future circumstances, its interpretation should evolve in line with new challenges and capabilities arising in relation to emerging technologies not only in cyberspace, but also in areas such as artificial intelligence, because, Chatterbox of the V2K, is done by an artificial intelligence program. Things that lines of messing with our emotions and doing certain things with hypergame theory. We think the AI does a certain protocol to our brain, messes with a certain EEG. If you're out for gangs, I think they've even got it like pretty much automatically set up if I go outside and I see like a gang stalker, it will the automatic system, the AI system, will give me a feeling of like a beaten dog, anxiety, like, oh, I'm ashamed, right? And it's so telling, because what's happened to me, I shouldn't feel ashamed about these criminals like doing this stuff, but it'll give me just that feeling, and it's not real. It's an artificial feeling. But like, well, I kind of just feel like a beaten dog just from being tortured so long. But so some things are psychological from so much torture, but then it's mixed in with completely artificial stuff that is just, you wouldn't think that way. You would if it was just like physical or something like that. I'm just going to read it over, guys, because this is important. So, challenges of new technologies. I can't remember for it. Challenges of new technologies in order to ensure the adequate implementation of the prohibition of torture and related international legal obligations in present and future circumstances. Its interpretation should evolve in line with new challenges and capabilities arising in relation to emerging technologies, not only in cyberspace, but also in areas such as artificial intelligence, robotics, nano and neurotechnology, or pharmaceutical and biomedical sciences, including so-called human enhancement, right? Transhumanism, connecting frequencies and implants and neurolace and things like that with the brain. And they've been studying so long and experimenting on people and torturing people, and they are currently doing it now. And how many more people are they going to target with all of the chaos that's going on in society, using CV virus as an excuse and using all the civil unrest in the globe? We've got to watch people more carefully. They want chaos, right? Like, that's what the top of the pyramid and these agencies that are doing this stuff, and the contractors, like all these people making money from all this stuff. Maybe some of the lower level gang stalkers really are like, we're going to clean up and create order, and they're just completely just stupid. But most of the people who know what's going on, they want chaos because it gives them more money, and then they can do it to more people, right? The times are dangerous. There's civil unrest. It's dangerous. Like, there's people not wearing masks. People not wearing masks. We might need to track, trace, do some facial recognition on them, and remote neural monitor them, and maybe even remote neural manipulate them so they will wear masks. I mean, I don't know if they would do that just to make somebody wear a mask, right? But y'all get my point on that. So, sound familiar? Yes, I do sound familiar because it's happening to me, and probably, I don't know, probably 95%, 90% of my viewers are targeted individuals. I don't know how I would find that out. Maybe I don't think 100%. Sound familiar? Many people in the United States are presenting each of these situations, and many are increasingly getting our support to overcome these challenges. With your help, we reach more people every day. Here's a video of Mr. Meltzer discussing psychological torture generally. Is it on? We can watch that. Is it the Julian Assange thing? Because he's the person who said that Julian Assange has been tortured, right? And nobody laid physical hands on Julian Assange. That's the thing. Nobody laid physical hands on him. There would be evidence. Julian Assange could say, people are coming in here and they're beating me, or they're not feeding me, or anything like that. So when he says Julian Assange is being tortured, and there's none of that stuff going on, he is talking about remote neural manipulation, external microwave hits, integrated directed energy weapon systems being used to torture Mr. Assange. I think maybe the conditions were bad in that embassy and stuff like that, but he's talking about where Julian Assange went to jail, and it's not somebody beating him in the face. It's this stuff. And I could tell from how they were describing it. I called that one. I call some stuff. Okay, so the legal coup is also proud to present Mr. Niels Melzer's more complete report below, which contains all the material cited above, and where he twice makes reference to targeted individuals. It is hot off the presses, quickly formatted into PDF, and is therefore not final. Most people are surprised to see anyone at the United Nations openly expressing such a complete grasp of the situation. Yeah, I'm surprised, and a lot of target individuals that I'm talking to are like, I don't trust the UN. You know, they're saying, I don't trust the UN, and I'm kind of thinking that we're gonna have to see, and I really want something hopeful, and I'll believe in it until it disproves itself, as long as it doesn't hurt me, to believe in something. And I don't think this is something that's harmful to believe in, but I kind of think that they may not talk about it right. Like, they may not talk about who's doing it right, or get into the extensiveness of how much remote neural manipulation, how much damage that does to the brain, and how the details of experimentation. They may kind of stick to, oh, this is done for revenge and silence and whistleblowers, and they might not get to the real crux of it. That's what I'm a little bit worried about. Hopefully they will. But I don't think any of us trust much that's going on in this world. We don't trust, like, somebody, that's getting so much airtime, somebody like Niels Melzer, to just be like, to do it, to really really open it up in a very truthful manner. I hope so. I really hope so. A lot of people that I'm talking to really, they don't trust the UN at all. I think we, as targeted individuals, we've had so much hopeful stuff come and disappoint us, so that we've all been burned so many times. It's hard to think, oh, this is going to turn out, or even me, right? And I'm just like, everything, I'm like, this could work, this could work, this could work. But even me, I'm getting real burnout and black-pilled on everything. But this is hopeful. The UN has already declared it, right? My concern is this, it's not going to be talked about exactly right. And I want it talked about exactly right so people know what we've been going through, so we can get, compensation, settlements, whatever, that those things can happen. And that when they do frequency policing, or investigations in these countries, that they'll know which way to look, right? So you should know that his is very much another case of one person standing to stem a tide. Mr. Melzer is therefore facing resistance, including the recent withdrawal of $100,000 in earmarked funding, leading to the recent loss of his investigative team. Claim the recent. It's going to happen. It's already happened. We sent in the stuff. It's already happening, so that wasn't a problem. It is hoped that the particular country engaging in such defunding can realize the shame and infamy that would befall anyone who ignores and therefore aids and abets these vile practices. It is also hoped that everyone reading this will take a moment and immediately support Mr. Melzer's current effort on his Twitter account. So it's https://twitter.com/Niels Melzer. Share this article, review the resulting dialogue and videos, and then seriously think about emailing the UN's OHCHR's donor and external relations team to express support for Mr. Melzer's worthy efforts concerning the pressing issue of cyber torture. So hopefully everybody's sent in their emails already. I'd maybe, even if you didn't get it in by last Sunday, was it last Sunday or the Sunday before last Sunday? Time, just like, I don't know if it was last Sunday or the Sunday before, but even if you haven't, still send them an email. Still send them an email with your testimony. Just give them so much information from targeted individuals about what we're going through that they have to talk about it the right way, So I'm not going to read, I'm not going to read Mr. Melzer's bio. There is this PDF, the report that he gave the UN. I'm going to put that in the description to this video, let's watch. So there's going to be that other article, this article. I'm going to put this video and then this PDF in there. Let me play this video real quick. He's just discussing it in general.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I declare open agenda item 3, entitled Promotion and Protection of All Human Rights, Civil, Political, Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, including the right to development. Before we start, I wish to recall that pursuant to the President's statement adopted last December, one-page summaries of the reports of the Special Procedures mandate holders have been made available on the extranet under the heading Reports of the Special Procedures, Quick Overview. I encourage delegations to have a look at
communications in accordance with Article 22 of the Convention. The government has cooperate with the international mechanisms they have created for the monitoring of their compliance with the human rights standards they have committed to. I am seriously alarmed as to the continued credibility and functionality of the global human rights system. I have therefore chosen to more proactively raise these issues in the public sphere and to draw attention to the related systemic risks for the provision of torture and ill treatment and for the international rule of law more generally. From 12 to 15 June 2019, I conducted a country visit to the Comoros. Regrettably, I had to suspend my visit halfway through as full access was obstructed to places of detention, and despite an ad hoc high-level meeting at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it was impossible to obtain compliance with the terms of reference of my mandate. Nevertheless, due to the urgent need for reforms and investment, I decided to submit a full visit report to this Council, which is an addendum to the thematic report. The information collected during the visit supports my findings that the conditions of detention generally amount to ill treatment, and there were also credible indicators of torture and ill treatment in the context of policing during demonstrations and upon arrest and interrogation. I'll be happy to respond to questions on this in the dialogue. From 17th to 24th of November, I conducted a country visit to the Maldives. The visit was conducted in accordance with the terms of reference of my mandate, and I have issued extensive preliminary observations after the visit, which I will not repeat here, but in principle the Maldives is equipped with the necessary legal, structural and procedural framework and a suitable political environment also to prevent torture and ill treatment. In my view, the biggest challenges faced by the Maldives are over-incarceration, conditions of detention and impunity. I'm delighted to report, however, that shortly after my visits, the government implemented my recommendations.
Like incarceration in certain places. 28th of February 2020, Special Rapporteur on Torture and Other Cruel, Inhumane, and Degrading Treatment or Punishment. I'm gonna look through it, guys, because I don't want to play the whole thing, but I'll look through it and then I'll show it on another video or a live stream. If he talks about the targeting, the cyber torture. Okay, that's it for this video, guys. I love y'all. Be preparing food and water and things like that, and make sure you have yourself set up, and just stay as safe as possible. We'll talk more about what's going on in the world, how we can survive it. I think a priority, something great, it would be great if it happened, is that if we could stop being mind controlled and tortured, and then we could kind of deal with all the craziness that's going on in the world, and decide what we want to do. So hopefully this is good. I want to have some hope in this. With everything that's going on in the world, I want to have some hope for this, that especially showing this to our family members and friends and things like that could change things, or even doctors. And I'm working on some other stuff, like the medical testing and stuff like that. And I'm going to go see and ear, eyes, and nose. I'm just working on a ton of stuff. I talked to my friend in Canada, and he has a really good idea that gave him some results, because I think manipulation of wireless around us, and actually being able to track the frequencies of certain apps to towers in your area, or like if certain people around you are involved, it can help with that. I gotta look through it though, and learn about it in more detail, and then I'll make a video or maybe a live stream on it or something like that. Okay, guys, I love y'all. Let's just keep moving forward as much as we can. I feel stuck. I'm gonna try and get unstuck. I know we all feel stuck, and some people, well, it's worse than that, right? It's worse than that because it feels like the clock is ticking for my brain, for my brain and my life, and my family needs me and stuff like that. So I'm sure a lot of you guys out there can relate with that. And then all the craziness is going on in our society. But a lot of people are getting a lot of truth out. We've just got to tell the truth. Just got to tell the truth about what's going on. And be careful about people's feelings. A lot of people are perceiving things differently in society right now. So I want to make sure I'm doing that. I just want to make sure I'm doing that because I love everyone. Well, especially I love every targeted individual who's going through this. But I love everyone of every color in the world, and I really want to see unity. I really do want to see, unity in everybody on a level playing field, and us leaving behind everything being so racial. I really want to see that, and we need real solutions for that. So when I talk about BLM, the organization, and Antifa, I'm not talking about the idea that every single life, and I kind of don't want to say all lives matter, because I think some people on the left were insulted by that. I saw one video where so an SJW girl was walking by some guy, and she goes, "Black lives matter," and the guy goes, "Yeah, all lives matter," and she goes, "No, they don't." And I was kind of like, that's kind of the feeling I get from some of the leftist organizations. Like there's an enemy now, and all lives don't matter. And that's not what BLM and Antifa say that they're working for. That's not unity. That's not bringing everybody up. That's not valuing all life. That's like, it's like domination or something like that. It's not doing what BLM claims to be doing, right? And I think it's happening a lot with a lot of, just like the gang stalking stuff. They tell people in our communities, hey, you're going to be keeping your community safe. This person did something, the person didn't do anything, and it gets people against each other, right? It causes this polarization, and that's what they want to do. When we see it in our society that things aren't becoming more unified, we're not getting away from race. Things are becoming more racial. And those things are on purpose, and there's more destruction in society and violence, and violence. Like I think I know a lot of places, Baltimore, New York, there's a lot of places where like people are literally walking around with guns on the street shooting each other. So it's very, very bad, and it's not going the way of creating this equal peace and things like that. Marxist organizations want to destroy everything. They want to tear down the systems that's there, erase history, so they can bring in something that they want, which is gonna, if Marxists get in control, if a communist socialist mindset mixed with a technocracy, and that's what the globalist organization is going for in a lot of our countries. A lot of people are going to die, and people are already dying, people are already being tortured, and then people are really not, because we're being killed, but it's slowly, right? For some of us it's like faster, but people are like being shot in the street and killed in a lot of other ways. Police, white and black. So, alright guys, I love y'all. We'll talk about some more stuff. I find myself looking at everything, just trying to figure out the best way, pretty much the priority to help us as targeted individuals. to help us understand too what's happening in our society, because there's a lot of deceit and a lot of asymmetrical warfare coming from a lot of different angles. And the more that we can know about what's happening and put the pieces together, the safer we can be psychologically, the safer we can be physically, you know. But I do think it's a very dangerous time, kind of black-pilled in this moment, and I'm hoping things will go in a more positive direction. But I see, if you watch that Computing Forever video, the UN is part of a plan, and then globalists are part of a plan, to destroy countries so they can rebuild them, to categorize land, food, animals, people, construction, everything. And they've got to destroy things. They've got to have crisis after crisis after crisis, normalization, crisis, normalization, crisis, normalization, to get everybody kind of in it where they can do even crazier things, where they can do even crazier things that people will end up accepting. And none of us should accept anything that's violent or destroying what is good about our countries or our humanity. Should not be destroying unity. We should be creating unity. So, all right, guys, I love y'all. I'll see you on the next one. I'm not sure when. Probably this weekend. I'll definitely do a live stream. Maybe I'll make some shorter videos till there. Kind of just depends. But I'll see you guys on the next one. I love you guys, and I just hope you're staying safe and as healthy as possible. All right. God bless all of you. God protect your families. God just keep you safe in these very, very dark times.